All right, we are here at New York Comic Con 2013. I am here with Cornboy from the Four Horsemen, and it's a pleasure to talk to you, man. I've been watching you guys throughout the years, back when you were working on stuff way back in the day, like in the 90s even. I remember a couple of toy magazines covering you guys back in the McFarlane days and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
But you guys are kind of, I mean, you're doing work with Mattel right now, but You've also really struck out on your own over the last couple of years. Primarily up front with the Gothitropolis stuff. That's what comes to mind immediately.
Yes, sir.
2 years ago, I got a hold of a Scarabus, and that was quite an experience. Now, that was something you ran through your website, the development of that toy, and there was a lot of fan input on how that went, right?
Right. Well, what that was for a few years now, we've been doing a thing called Fantastic Exclusive. And what that is fans are going to be involved in the creation of a toy, essentially, where we come up with our own properties and our own characters from each property, and the fans can come online, they can pick out the property that they like best, they can pick out the character from that property they like best, and then we go through the process of where they're able to choose things like articulation, scale, different types of detail on the character, things like weapons and accessories. And so essentially, once we get done producing this toy, fans are involved in the creation of a toy, and they'll eventually get to hold this toy in their hand that they had a hand in helping to create. Well, one year, one of our characters from Gothitropolis, a character named Scarabus, he's like the overlord of Gothitropolis. He won the Fantastic Exclusive poll, so we produced the Scarabus figure, and that was our first Gothitropolis release. Soon after that, we released some little Timekeeper figures, or little skeleton minions of Scarabus. And then this past year, we decided that we wanted to do the Ravens figures. There's some more characters from Gothitropolis, and we tried to produce them a few years ago, but because of rising costs of production, we just couldn't swing it. We're a small independent company, and we do work for Mattel, but that all goes right back into our business. So taking the money out of our own account to produce these figures that were going to be tremendously expensive just wasn't going to be possible. We had some friends that had done some Kickstarter programs and had done really well with them, and they told us we should try that out. So we looked into it, we gave it a shot, and it worked. Our initial thing was to try to get $65,000 to produce six-inch articulated figures, and if we went over that goal, we would add more figures on and more accessories. Well, in the first, we were worried we weren't even going to get $65,000. In the first 57 hours, we blew right past the $65,000, and we eventually ended up getting $303,666.
Well, you guys were like generating stretch goals by the end. Like I recall,
by the end, we were trying to come up with new stuff. We were just
Flamingo
drawing.
Just comes up here like, hey, look, Flamingo.
We decided to do a Flamingo character because people had been asking for it, and we like to listen to what fans want. And so I just dragged a photo off of Google, and I threw up like the Raven's upper torso and photoshopped the Flamingo head in there, and people liked it, so the Flamingo became like the 13th figure.
That's got to be an interesting parallel, like in retrospect, like the Fantastic figure process for Scarabus being like it's not the same process, but it is like, you know, the grassroots, your customer base has input on the development in some way.
It is, absolutely.
And you go into the Kickstarter where that similar input is there in terms of funding, in terms of how far the stretch goals get pushed.
And it kind of gave us an idea of what fans want. I mean, we've noticed in previous lines that we've done for both Seventh Kingdom and Gothitropolis that when we have an animal-based character, even though it's a humanoid, it's animal-based and anthropomorphic character, those seem to be by far the most popular. And then we did this line of Ravens figures, and it went crazy. So we're going to look into possibly doing some more anthropomorphic figures. More on that to come at Toy Fair 2014 and Toypocalypse 4.
Whoa, they're at the camera, good lord.
Toypocalypse 4.
Speaking of the Ravens, I mean, they're in development now. It sounds like, going by the backer updates, things are going pretty well.
They are.
There was one, I guess, user question that kind of came in that I figured I'd relay along. Some people were wondering about the hypothetical cape for the Screaming Eagle. Is that still an up-in-the-air thing?
It's no longer an up-in-the-air thing. I think this is the first time we're making the official announcement. We just spoke to the factory. It's going to happen, even if we have to spend a little bit more for it than we planned. The Screaming Eagle is going to have the American flag cape, but we're going to alter the American flag cape just slightly so it's not an exact representation of the American flag. We don't want to offend people by having one of our characters with the actual American flag draped over his shoulder. Still going to have the same motif. We're just going to make it just going to change up the way the stars and stripes kind of fit together a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But it's going to essentially be the American flag, but it's not going to be the exact American flag, because we do have respect for our country and the flag and the people in the country and the armed forces. So we don't want to offend anybody with any of that stuff. And you know, we just want to make the coolest toys we possibly can. So we want to keep it in there because fans seem to really like it, but we don't want to, you know, do something that would be disrespectful to anybody.
That's great news, because I felt like the idea of working a cape into one of those characters was a real like character-full addition to that design.
Especially that guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's something really cool. Like, I'm a Canadian, but there's something really cool just about this guy. He's like, I'm an American eagle. I'm wearing an American flag cape, and I'm going, ah! Like, I'm just running out there.
There were a lot of memes that popped up online. It went viral, and at the top of all of them, it just said America. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I was looking at a lot of other toy line accessories I'd want to add on to this guy. Just heavily arm him, make him all ready to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really happy that the Ravens are going so well. Also because it got a lot more word out about the Gothitropolis aesthetic, which I really enjoyed. Back in 2011, seeing the 2-up of the Raven, seeing Scarabus in hand.
Yes, sir.
I'm really glad you guys were able to continue that along.
Well, yeah, it really did. It not only did it, you know, get word out about the Scarabus and stuff, but Gothitropolis in general. We sold through a lot more timekeepers, and the Scarabuses that we had on Store Horsemen are almost all sold out now.
Yeah, they disappeared.
We were kind of selling through them steadily. You know, when they first came out, we had a big push. We sold a lot of them, and they sold steadily over the last couple of years. But now every Scarabus variant is completely sold out except for Melcom. I think we've got maybe a case left of those, and they'll be gone, and Scarabus is done. You know, later down the road, if things get crazy popular, we may come back and do some other variants. But those variants that we did, other than maybe the main Scarabus himself, they're done forever.
Man, well, I'm glad that success is happening, because the worst thing that can happen, especially for an indie toy line, is to have a case of toys sitting in the warehouse, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And speaking of some new indie toys you guys are working on, now you guys were doing Outer Space Men.
Yes, sir.
Which
still
was
are.
a crossover with the GIOS system.
Yes, sir.
And those are continuing on, but you're also debuting here and at PowerCon. New figure debut here.
Yes.
Stuff from your Power Lords, IP acquisition and subsequent toy line. Now, the stuff you're doing there with the GIOS system alone is really exciting. Seeing universal hinges working with those pegs.
Right.
But,
we kind of took the super innovative GIOS system that Matt Dowdy of Onell Designs came up with, and we kind of took it to the next step, and we're integrating traditional ball joint articulation in with the GIOS system, and it works fantastic. We were kind of worried about how well they were going to work and whether the joints would be nice and tight, but they're solid as a rock.
Well, I can tell you from first-hand experience about an hour or two ago that it really is working out.
Oh, nice.
I've taken one of Knee Stuff's Outlanders and kind of mushed him together with your Power Lords Alien Man, and he looks like he's in permanent pain, but you know.
Well, this is what we're talking about. Like the GIOS pop and play joint is there, but it also has the ball and socket there, so.
Yeah, it
works really well.
I was really pleasantly surprised also at how easily the pieces just went together. Like, the one thing I was worried about with the Power Lords parts was that there might be, just for the sake of the sculpt of the character, stuff that might get in the way of just popping it right onto a GIOS figure.
Yep.
And I'm quite
they've
impressed.
been engineering this stuff for years at the factory that Matt uses, and they really know what they're doing with this stuff. So, yeah, it's top-notch stuff. They did a fantastic job. We're really happy and really impressed with them.
And with your run you're doing right now of these guys, I mean, you're just packing up now. But how did things go here on day one for the purple, like the Nebula guys?
It's Griptog. Well, it's a variant of one of the characters from the original Power Lords called Griptog.
Yeah.
And this guy, he's one of the soldier guys, and we're going to keep pumping out different versions, different colorways of these soldier guys. And his name's Graptic. We're calling him the Graptic Grunts. So we'll pump out different colorways of the Graptic Grunts, but we didn't completely sell out here at PowerCon, so next week, probably Wednesday, they will be available on storehorseman.com.
All right.
But
I was going to ask about how, because I mean, in light of PowerCon, where those soldiers just were blitzkrieged out of your table from all reports.
At PowerCon, the Power Soldiers sold out at our table in under 40 minutes, and there were 250 pieces. And then we sold another 250 pieces on Store Horseman, and in under 4 minutes, we were completely sold out of those, and I couldn't get the site shut down, or the sales shut down quick enough, and we accidentally took an extra like 200 orders or so. So we went ahead and went back into production with them, and since fans seemed to want them so badly, we went ahead and offered another 72-hour pre-order where fans can go in and order as many as they want.
And speaking for myself, I really appreciated that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't really want to limit or make things like super exclusive. We want the fans who want our stuff in the hands of the fans, no matter how many we have to produce or what we have to do to produce them. The reason that we had such a low number that we were running, we had no idea how well they were going to sell.
Yeah.
We did not think that they were going to sell that well. We thought they would do okay, but to sell out at a show, the only reason it took us 40 minutes to sell them out at PowerCon is because we didn't have them stickered and numbered yet. We were doing it while we were sitting there, and we couldn't sticker them and number them fast enough. If we would have been 2 or 3 of us just standing there selling them, we would have been out of them in a few minutes, 10 minutes or so.
I mean, that's got to be confidence building, because I know that in my brief experience speaking with folks who work on, what you could call indie toy lines, one of the biggest hurdles you face is what's your initial production run.
Right, and that was the worry that we had with the Griptog figures as opposed to the Power Soldiers figures, because we thought maybe the Power Soldiers figures were selling that well because they're very military based, so they kind of fit in well with Star Wars, they fit in well with G.I. Joe, they could even fit in well with Marvel Legend or Marvel Universe, and we're worried that the Griptog figures, because they're aliens, might not fit in as well, but people are responding really well to them, and they sold really quickly. We actually started out selling them rather than just letting people buy as many as they wanted. We started out selling them only 4 sets per person.
Yeah.
And I think if we would have done unlimited sales, we probably would have blown through them pretty quickly. So now we have some left over to sell on Store Horsemen, so the fans who weren't able to make it here will have a little bit better chance of getting them on our store.
Cool, and this is all kind of a preview for a full launch of Power Lords, right?
Yes, sir.
Like fully painted.
Which will be February, March of 2014 will be the fully painted versions of Power Lords. And it'll be
cool.
Atom Power, Lord Power, Griptog, and a couple of other different variants of those characters.
And this and Outer Spaceman, they're both very character-driven lines,
yes.
with a lot of respect paid to an older, somewhat obscure existing IP.
Not somewhat, they were crazy obscure.
So, everyone I've said, you remember the Power Lords? Like, no.
No. And then if you show them a
couple
couple characters, they'll go, oh yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah.
I saw that once.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, they're very character-driven, so obviously it must be great to see these characters being realized with modern materials, modern production quality. But with the inclusion of the GIOS system, do you guys kind of have fun watching what people do, busting those things down, and just working them into that universe?
I mean, this alone is, I mean, it's just
it's a horrible mutant,
but yeah, it's testament to what you can do with these things, though. I mean, the GIOS system. I mean, if you like playing with toys, you can really play with these. You can have a great time with them.
Yeah. And I mean, the color palette also is just fun. I love purple and pink.
Yeah.
So I'm glad
those match one of Matt's earlier GIOS releases that he did. He did some kind of pink and purple. We wanted to run them in the same color.
Yeah, the Nebula something.
Yeah, and these Nebula something. And these Griptogs are kind of like weird, strange, multicolored aliens anyway. So we figured it would work with them. Might not work so well with Lord Power. I'm not sure we'd ever do him in pink, but.
Oh yeah, something festive for the holiday season. With Power Lords being like another line you're bringing on, now Outer Spacemen have a lot of interesting variants for conventions and for the holiday times.
Yes.
Are you guys thinking of giving the same amount of coverage to Power Lords as time goes on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to try releasing as many variants of these guys as we can every couple months or so throughout the year. And at Toypocalypse 2014, we're going to try to have a special exclusive Power Lords version of one of the characters. We're not saying which one yet.
Yeah.
There for sale, but it all depends on how quickly the factory can pump them out for us.
Cool. Well, I guess to close things up here, we've talked about Power Lords, a little bit about Outer Spacemen, a whole bunch about Gothitropolis. I know you guys get asked a ton about Masters of the Universe,
yes,
and that's really that's Mattel's wheelhouse to many degrees.
Yep.
But there's always one question on my mind, because I have a bit of a weird fandom for that line.
Really? How weird?
I am really into certain parts of the live-action movie. And I saw that this year we've got Sarad and Blade, or this coming couple years, Sarad and Blade have been bandied around. Blade's in the case over there.
Right, Blade's done.
Now the big question, I know this was answered before, but when I ever have this discussion with people, we have trouble locating the concrete info, so I figured I'd just ask part of the source right now. The status of Frank Langella's Skeletor, and where he may lie, not so much whether you can do him, I suppose, but if he's crossed your mind, if you ever had the dream plan for that character.
Well, of course, we'd like to do all the characters from the movie, except for Gwildor.
Yeah.
No, we'd actually like to do Gwildor too. That's kind of like a running joke I've got. But
bucket of chicken.
Yeah. But the problem is, Mattel only has the rights of all the movie characters, they only have the rights to do the characters that were actually done as action figures in the 80s.
Yeah.
They don't have rights to all the characters that were in the movie. We would love to. I mean, the movie Skeletor and when it becomes God Skeletor, I mean, we would love to make those figures. That'd be fantastic. But
so, yeah, I mean,
it's just not a possibility unless Mattel goes to try to pick up the full license for the movie figures. The only ones we can do right now are Sorod, Blade, and Gwildor.
Yeah.
Because those are the only ones that were made as action figures.
Because that Frank Langella Skeletor in the dark robe with the staff, like the pure power of that appearance, has led a lot of us to discuss this. I'm pretty, like, your description of the situation matches what I was pretty sure was going on.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
Which leads, like,
unfortunately.
This is another one of those questions that may just need to have a bit of a shrug as an answer, but I figure I'd run it by you. In light of the amount of indie stuff you're doing, somewhere down the road, how clear is the feasibility of approaching something like another live-action character on an indie side of things, like perhaps with support from Mattel, but trying to seek out the licensing rights for something like a Langella Skeletor, not through Matty Collector, but through some kind of smaller run side project?
I mean, we haven't really considered anything like that. I mean, Mattel owns the full rights to Masters of the Universe. I mean, it's their property.
Yeah.
And they own the rights to that style of action figures. So not only would we have to try to chase down, like you said, we'd have to get the blessing of Mattel, obviously. Not only would we have to try to chase down the license for the Masters of the Universe movie, but we'd also have to get the blessing of Mattel to be able to do the characters in that style.
Yeah.
And you know what? Another thing is, we've been working with Mattel for so long that we wouldn't want to step on anybody's toes or hurt anybody's feelings over there, but by trying to do it without their blessing. So it's probably a pretty big undertaking to have to try to do. It's not out of the question. It's not like we could never do it, but probably not. It'd probably be a lot of work to do that.
All I'm saying is, if a Kickstarter started up for an action figure that happened to be called Langellator, who happens to be a skull-face-looking man in a black robe that says "kneel" over and over again, like I might back that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you might back that. That's good. That's good to know. It's good to know. We'll consider it.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
This has been Cornboy, the Four Horsemen.
Yes, sir.
You guys are located on fourhorsemen.com.
Nope, it's sourcehorsemen.com. SOURCE Horsemen, HORSEMEN.com.
But your store?
And the store is storehorsemen.com.
I love that name.
But not Source Horseman?
A Store Horseman.
Source Horseman is the source. That's the hub for everything Four Horsemen.
Yeah. Store Horseman's the kind of portmanteau wordplay I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your time. I'm glad that the Power Lords dropped for the pink and purple Glyptorocodad mutant dudes. I already demolished the image in my mind by fusing them with this Outlander, so I'm kind of out of it here.
It's cool. It looks great.
I'm glad that the drop's gone well over here,
and
I'm looking forward to seeing more development on Gothitropolis.
We will do.
All right, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. See y'all.